The story you want to see will begin in a few seconds, but I'd like to remind you that we're part of public broadcasting. We don't sell commercials, we don't have sponsors. We rely on people like you for support, people who care about educational opportunity. And right now, I'd like to give you an opportunity to help us. You can make a tax-deductible contribution by visiting our website, learningmatters.tv/donate. Thanks for your support, and here's that video. Detroit, Michigan, a city in decline. With a public school system so deep in debt, the state took it over.
What we have in this urban school district is a leadership disaster, which if it is not corrected quickly, then we will have damned generations of kids to an inferior education.
In early 2009, Michigan's governor hired Robert Bobb, a veteran city manager, to clean up the school district's finances.
Everybody has a paper, you don't. F-R-O-M.
Takeovers like this have gained in popularity, but it's frequently a messy job. Alleged mismanagement and corruption have contributed to a $316 million hole in Detroit's $1.3 billion school budget. Meanwhile, enrollment has dropped from 167,000 students 10 years ago to about 84,000 today. Did you know when you took this job how bad things were in Detroit?
No, not even a clue. When you get on the ground and you start digging even deeper, then you can see, well, these issues are even more substantial.
Bobb's approach has stirred up ill will. His security detail is a constant presence. Do you worry?
Do I worry? Of course I worry. Absolutely. I mean, I go into some very hostile environments.
In his first year on the job, Bobb shuttered 29 of the district's 200 schools, sparking community pushback. Now he says he plans to close 41 more and lay off about 1,250 teachers, nearly 1/4 of the teaching force.
I don't see how they can do what they want to do to keep parents bringing their children to our schools and do anywhere near that number of layoffs.
Mark O'Keefe.
Mark O'Keefe is vice president of the Detroit Teachers Union, which last year signed a new contract with Bobb.
I can say some good things about Robert Bobb because this situation was dire and we needed someone to come in and take action. And he did that. And the type of people who assert themselves and take action and can make changes quickly, sometimes that same trait is what might lead you to maybe assert more control than you have or seek more power than you have.
Together, let's start a revolution on behalf of your children and children in Detroit Public Schools.
Critics contend that Bobb has authority only over the school budget, but Bobb has reached further, tackling the system's abysmal academic performance. On a recent national test, just 3% of Detroit's fourth graders scored proficient in math, the worst scores in the history of the test.
The issues impacting Detroit Public Schools are top-to-bottom issues. It's not just the fact that we have an over $300 million budget deficit, but it's also the issue that we have an academic emergency.
Bobb hired Barbara Bird Bennett, an experienced school superintendent, to help him overhaul the curriculum.
I was amazed at how frozen Detroit had become. I mean, it was as if they were locked in time somewhere where the rest of the education world had moved forward, and they really hadn't.
At the heart of Bobb's academic reforms are mergers and redesigns of schools. This huge high school will become a pre-K through community college campus. Bobb has invited Wayne State University to be a partner.
Come on, we have to be creative over here.
Across the district, Bobb's plans include extending the school day and creating specialized programs in the arts, communications, math, and science.
If we care about kids in an urban environment, let's give them the best opportunity that those children can get so that they become college ready.
But this past summer, Bobb's big plans hit a big wall. Otis Mathis is chair of the Detroit School Board, which filed a lawsuit saying Bobb went too far when he got involved in curriculum. Academics, Mathis says, are the responsibility of the superintendent the board has hired.
The dispute is that the governor and the emergency financial manager would handle the deficit, and the board and the superintendent will handle academics. And then somehow, in a few months, it got twisted where he controlled everything.
The teachers' union signed on to the lawsuit, saying teachers don't know whether to answer to Bobb or to the superintendent. O'Keefe cites as an example a test Bobb told teachers to give.
Then they got a memo from the superintendent saying not to take the test because the superintendent and the board are in charge of academics, and they did not approve of this. So they weren't supposed to take the test. Then they got another memo from Robert Bobb saying, ignore the last memo. You have to listen to me and do what I say, take the test. Then they got another memo from someone on the board saying, forget the last memo, don't do it. So what are the teachers supposed to do in that situation?
In the end, the teachers obeyed Bobb. The power struggle also makes life complicated for principals. Who's your boss?
Currently, right now, I answer to the superintendent of schools. I answer to the emergency financial manager of schools and the school board.
And the school board.
And the school board.
And they said it's confusing. You empathize?
Well, absolutely. I mean, you can't have an organization where you have, several people in charge. But in my mind, I'm in charge.
For parents like Ida Bird Hill, the dispute is one more chapter in Detroit schools' long, sad history.
It's a battle of adult egos again. The problem that upsets me most is that the adults can't come to a table and agree to disagree.
They're fighting like children.
Or worse than the children.
Very good.
Let's face it.
The baby?
The board didn't do so well, which is why he's
Who's
here.
the baby?
And he may not respect the board, but they were voted in by the community because the community wanted them to represent their interest. So just both sides have a little respect.
You should be able to hire your principals, your janitor, your engineer.
In mid-April, the courts issued a temporary injunction against Bobb's plans. Bobb is appealing, but he says it doesn't really matter which way the judge decides because every academic decision involves spending.
I mean, we win, and if we lose, we win. Because someone's going to have to finance these services.
You'll still be in charge.
If a penny touches it.
Even if the judge says, Mr. Bobb, you're not in charge of academics, you still will have some sort of veto power.
Because the programs have to be financed.
Bobb's contract runs out in March of next year. How much he will be able to accomplish before then is in question. Meanwhile, the exodus of students from Detroit public schools continues to charter schools or to regular public schools in other cities and towns.